Hi, everyone. Join us. Future and I had to do an impromptu live, and we would love for you to hop on with us if you're watching us on Facebook or LinkedIn or YouTube, wherever you may be. We just need some space to debrief what just happened to Future and how we are feeling more broadly about being silenced in this time and the pressure to conform, perform, and how we feel called to resist that pressure.
Okay,
How
so
you
here's my thing. I
mm,
am literally coming on here breathing because these are techniques that I literally would go in and be teaching to other people for their own emotional regulation. So I would be hypocritical if I too don't come on here and say, I'm using my knapsack of tools that I'm teaching everybody else to be proactive in regards to your own emotional regulation. So your social impact isn't harm, pain, and suffering on others in humanity. However, Karen and I specifically chose to do this live because I had a situation happen. I usually am spending time with my family, and so is Karen right now. And I said, no, you know what we have? We have a power and privilege that we too, as women, have. And guess what that is? The power of social media. So we can come to share a space with everybody who would like to join us now or be part of the replay to talk about different things that we experience on an everyday basis that you all maybe not see because we choose not to post about it. We choose not to have the front facing conversations, but we have it in small, intimate conversations. So a situation happened. After a situation happened, I happened to call Karen. And I talked through it with Karen because this system, humanity, whatever, will have you thinking you are losing your mind. So I had to triple check and double check and quadruple check. I was not truly losing my mind for what I had heard, then what I chose to say, and then what else happened. So that's why we are coming on here to begin with. So Karen, I'm going to put it out to you of where do you think we should even go with all of this?
Where I think we should go is we are calling for interracial sisterhood and solidarity. And I feel like there's a lot of white women right now who are sitting in our privilege and who are being silent and not using our voices at a time when women and children are being annihilated by the Israeli Defense Forces. And we feel too concerned about what other people may think of us to speak out. And this is not a time for us to be silent. As Audre Lorde taught us, your silence will not protect you. And this is also not a time for us to allow our global majority sisters to be silenced, to be shut down. That when our global majority sisters are under attack, we need to be going after their attackers and saying, you stop that. That's how we wield our privilege, and coming to their side and standing side by side with them, not leaving them out there by themselves. So, this is the conversation we want to have today. And I think we should begin, Future, with you describing what just happened.
Okay. So I choose to volunteer my time sitting on lots of things. One of those things happens to be a board. Now, the state where I'm in isn't that racially diverse, especially in regards to Black people. I think we're not even at 7% Black people in the state of Wisconsin. I will double check my facts on that when I have a moment to do when you're talking. So oftentimes when I am sitting in spaces, whether that is me shopping, whether that is me volunteering, whether that is me going to the movies, I am going to be the only or one of few. I happen to be on a call today in a room of majority white men and white people. A message was said, and this is why we labeled this talk the art of performing and conforming, to be very specific. In the conversation people were having, and Karen and I are one for our narratives, our language that we choose to utter out of our mouth very much matters. As many of you in the audience that want to say sticks and stones will break my bones, but names will never hurt me, that's a lie, and you know it. Words are very impactful, and words actually do harm and hurt. So I'm trying to educate people on being mindful of the words in which you choose to let out of your mouth. In the meeting where I was choosing to be with my free time that isn't so free, I basically heard somebody then say out loud to all of us, the war on Israel. Now, they repeated words that somebody else had said to them. And here's the other thing that I need to caution people in saying. We hear lots of stuff. We read lots of stuff on social media. We hear lots of stuff on the news. We even have conversation and hear lots of stuff. I am asking you to be mindful then of what stuff are you outwardly saying and sharing and typing and writing and speaking and thinking. Because the fact that the words of the war on Israel came out of the person's mouth, everybody at the table and on Zoom sat there. Not one person was going to speak up. We were just going to gloss over it. Now, I don't know how you define war, but here's what I need to do. I need to look up the definition for everybody. A state of armed conflict between different nations or states, of different groups within a nation or state. Let me repeat this again. Armed conflict. A war is not where people could bring guns and others have bats. It's pretty equitable resources in regards to fighting a war for both parties.
And it's between states. It's not within a state.
Okay. So again, we need to highlight what our definitions actually are, the words we are choosing to subscribe to, and then speak out loud to others. So I politely, very directly, because that's what I do, spoke up and say, can you please clarify what that means? Which war? When is this war taking place? I got information of, okay, so you're talking about the war that is taking place in 2023. And then I went into, are we going to call this a war? Or are we going to say what is taking place? Because I would call it a genocide. If you have one party who basically is at a point where they can't defend themselves, they have no water, electricity has been cut, 50% of their healthcare systems aren't running, what do we call that? Because here's also facts that we found. Literally, all of us were debilitated and sitting in shock, fear, and other emotions when 9/11 happened. We all remember it if you are in the United States and you were here then. And we said, oh my gosh, I can't believe the destruction that is happening on us. In 9/11, basically, we'll round up 3,000 lives were lost. We are at a point in this area that we are talking about that have had 3 9/11 days in 1 month. More than 3.
And of course,
Four.
the death count did not begin on October 7th. We're just talking since October 7th.
Okay? So let's go to the facts. Now, I didn't give them all these facts because that wasn't my place. My place was to, as the only Black American born woman in that room, I was not going to sit in the room listening to the words of a war on Israel, and you just diminish and don't even speak of the Palestinian people that has a continued death toll that's rising.
The majority of which are women and children, the majority of whom are women and children.
In addition to, if you want to say a war, we have Israel that has lost 1,200 people. 1,200.
And we deplore those deaths and the hostages, the 239 hostages. We deplore any civilian death. We don't want anyone to be harmed.
One humanity lost in either place is one too many. Karen and I both stand on the side of humanity, but I'm also going to stand on the side of we need to be very mindful of the rhetoric in which we're choosing to use. And then what I said is, now here's the cost. I then watched me speaking up and saying something. People sit there with their faces and look at me in disgust of how dare I say what I'm saying to raise it. The concern I had with the verbiage we're using. Then I had a person try to explain then, which often happens, what the person was trying to say, and I misunderstood what was said. And then I had another person, which happened to be of darker shade than I am, say to me, well, I don't know if this actually is the place to talk about this because this is complicated.
Mm.
You know what's complicated? Complicated is having to write my child's name on their arm because I don't know if my kid and I are going to wake up the next day. Complicated is feeling that the world is watching me and nobody's coming.
Mm.
Complicated is putting prayers out there knowing you can't do anything else.
Mm.
So we can sit here and say we're going to talk about the complicated stuff. Because if you can't even talk about it and it's not even here, when are you going to feel comfortable actually talking about it? As we sit and watch humanity be slain. So I'm going to stand here and not choose to conform to silence and choose to perform because I want you to like me and I'm going to please you.
Mm.
I'm not going to do that. And I'm watching one too many people of all shades sit here and be silent because you prefer your social clout and material items above humanity's bodies.
Mm.
And then to think I actually have in that space a therapist who will write, they've worked in Palestine and Afghanistan before, and then sits there and doesn't even say anything.
Mm.
But they want to write that they work and help women with trauma.
Mm.
So we can actually write about it or we could be about it.
Mm.
We could speak about it or you could do about it.
Mm.
What camp are you standing in? There's one camp at this point, humanity. So sitting in the era of silence because of my fear, or because I don't want to ruffle feathers, or because I don't want to possibly be kicked off or asked to leave this place that I have and give my time for free, mind you,
Mm.
I will day in and day out double down on losing that.
Mm.
That will be the loss that I will take for me to speak up and educate.
Mm.
I will gladly take it. I am not going to take the silence because you get to sit in your comfortability
Mm.
while people are being harmed on a daily basis. While we have people all over this nation thinking, oh my gosh, I can't go to sleep at night because my family, my friends, and people I know are over there, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to wake up seeing them, hearing from them again. So we chose to come on. We chose to come on because I am human too. Because I have feelings, and I sit here in my positivity all the time, and I am a positive realist. I am real positive. And here's the authenticity. That was crap. That hurt my heart that I sat in a room where people actually did that. And everybody was quiet and doubled down for, but we don't want to speak about that in here now. Shh. Don't say that. I don't know what else to say, Karen. I don't, but this is disturbing to my heart, my spirit, and my soul.
Mm.
And my mind.
Mm-hmm.
So I called Karen. Who are you going to call, Ghostbusters? No, there's not enough Ghostbusters to come in and blaze the room up that I just sat in.
Mm.
So I called her because this system will have you thinking you have lost your mind. And the fact that after Karen and I talked, her one thing that she said after it, and I'll keep you all updated because this will be very telling. Okay. The one thing you said after it was, what did you say? You said a couple of things to me. What did you say
I
was
said, I bet they're going to kick you off.
okay? The fact that Karen thinks humanity will kick me off from speaking up to educate people because I refuse to conform and perform is in itself telling.
Mm-hmm.
That this is where we go to, that this is actually the cost of speaking up. In
Yes.
rooms that nobody will ever see. All the crap that I'm doing behind the scenes, I never post about. And you know what? Today's the day I said, I'm coming on and actually telling people.
Mm.
Because this is often occurrence for me. We are talking about lives. These numbers that are written all over these news articles and reporters are just reporting in. We as humanity in a month or a little over a month time frame have lost almost 15,000 people because what is going on? And we're like, oh, did you see death toll? Talking about it like it's a regular conversation. Oh, death toll is up to 500 more people. Like those 500, that number isn't a person with a family and generational impact.
Mm.
They were more than just a number that we read in our news articles. So we came on to say what, Karen?
We came on to say those of us who have privilege, who have position, who have whatever it is, This is a time for us to use that for good. This is a time to stand on the right side of history and not to just numb out and pay attention to what we're going to do for Thanksgiving. Do we understand this is a battle for the soul of humanity? This is a battle for innocent children, innocent women being killed, annihilated. And if we think that this is limited to Gaza, we are not paying attention, because don't forget what Cop City in Atlanta is supposed to be. It's a training facility for Israeli Defense Forces to train American police in their techniques and tactics. So if we think we can just sit here and it's never going to come for us, we are wrong. So we cannot allow our Muslim sisters, our Arab sisters, our Jewish sisters who are being targeted with terrible anti-Semitism, we cannot allow them to be alone in their time of need. We have to be beside them, and we have to take on the people who are attacking them, and we have to shield them. And we cannot be silent.
So Karen and I are coming on because here's the thing. It's like a cozy, warm sweater putting silence on. It really is.
Mm,
I get it. It feels really good and it's warm on those cold days and nights.
mm,
And at the same time, your silence isn't protecting people. Your silence isn't bringing people to a self-awareness that maybe they didn't have. Your silence can't help you or anybody else evolve to truly see somebody else. So I will choose time and time again to bet on not staying silent. I'm not going to stay silent. So if you invite me into your spaces and your rooms, please know I'm not going to be the silent one. I am going to call people to swaddle all in love.
mhm,
But swaddling all in love is not sitting here telling comforting lies.
mm,
It's sitting with the uncomfortable truths and the unfamiliar feelings that are going to come up inevitably in your body to feel through so that we could collectively heal. I will not be silent. And we pause because there's been plenty of spaces and rooms Karen and I have been in where that's exactly what we did.
mm,
I will sit there and stare at you for, you want to sit in silence for 5 minutes? After I say something that might be uncomfortable, that's fine with me. I don't have to fill the room with talk because I feel uncomfortable. Uncomfortable is that people are waking up every day thinking, is this my day to die?
mm,
That's uncomfortable. Uncomfortable is watching people die that look like you day in, day out.
mm,
Uncomfortable is watching a room full of people gaze over and glaze over words that one finds problematic, but nobody says anything. And then when you try to bring it to the forefront and say something, you get looked at as if you're the one who's a problem.
mm.
uncomfortable is humanity hasn't figured this thing called humanity out with having a hierarchy, without setting greed in place, and without upholding power and privileges over others. That's uncomfortable.
And I feel it too. I feel uncomfortable speaking out. I feel like in my body, I tremble when I say these things because I'm thinking about all of the potential
Oh, yeah.
repercussions. How is this going to affect my business? How is this going to affect my family? How am I, how that. And I know that is my intergenerational trauma of thousands of years of abuse, specifically targeted to women for speaking out. When women speak out, we become the problem.
Yeah.
We become crazy. Um, um, we are witches. We are evil. And then the persecution and the violence and all of it. And of course, I'm just that's for me as a white woman, it's 1,000 times more for Black women, Native women, Asian American women, Latina women, Pacific Islander women who speak out.
So here's the thing I've been telling people, and Dan will quote me on saying this. I will always ask people, what are you willing to lose?
Mm.
There is a cost to speaking up.
Mm-hmm.
There is a cost to educating. There is a cost to expanding one's mind and bringing them to a new awareness that's a whole new world.
Mm.
And also, there's a cost to not doing those things. There's a cost in your health and well-being in your body. There's a
Yes.
cost to not being able to sleep at night because you know in your spirit what is happening, and you choose to sit in silence.
Mm.
There's a cost either way. It's what cost do you want?
Our integrity is not for sale.
No, my integrity is not for sale. And you know what I do know? I know that I will get, I don't want to say fingers, people questioning what I had to say because how I said it.
Mm.
Let me say this again. I will get people questioning what I said because how I said it.
Couldn't you have said it in a nicer way?
Okay. So, because I leaned in like this and I was very direct and I was basically like this with my head, people don't want to receive it that way.
Mm.
Now, you could try to police me on my tone. However, you can't take away what I have to say, even if it's not exactly how you feel you should be able to receive it in the moment of time. Every child is my child.
Mm.
We are all connected. You are 100% right, Marlo. Thank you for saying that. I'm in pain over here, crying. Like anytime I'm seeing the video that was put out in regards to the kids in the incubator, because there's no electricity. So the kids that are on the incubator can no longer live if there's no electricity.
Mm.
So there's babies that need medical attention that they can't get because of all of the continuous resources that are being bombed and taken away. They are all our children. There is a huge humanity impact. And as much as we would like to say, but it's over there, no, it's actually not
Mhm.
just there. There is an impact on us all across the world
Mhm.
from all of these lives lost in every location. You want to
And
say Congo, Ukraine, wherever it is, all of it.
what I have to say too is that there is a movement. There is so many people who are taking to the streets, who are calling our lawmakers, who are writing letters, who are making art, who are donating, who are doing all these actions. Like our individual actions, when done collectively, even when they feel small, it is adding up and it is huge. It is very huge. Why do you think they had the humanitarian pause? Because they had to, because of the pressure. And so I just don't want us to fall into despair and say, all this is terrible and there's nothing I can do about it. There is something we can do about it. Thank you, future, for role modeling what we can do about it.
I'll just wait to see what the cost is.
We
Right?
may have to come back on tomorrow and give an update.
Yeah. And it's okay. Right? It's okay because um I want to find it in regards to hold on. Um
Mm.
here's what I need to say.
Mhm.
Hold on. Everybody you could see me, right?
Mhm.
Okay. I'm gonna First They Came, okay, by Pastor Martin Niemöller. I might have not said that name correctly, and I apologize. First, they came for the communists, and I did not speak out because I was not communist. Then they came for the socialists, and I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak
Mm.
out for me. We could sit here thinking, oh, that person will speak out, or it's not my time to speak, or, I could do it later, or this is too uncomfortable, or I'm sitting in fear.
Or I don't know enough. I don't know enough about it to say anything. So let me just be silent.
Or what will they think of me?
Or what will I lose?
Or who will I lose?
Mhm.
You could sit in all of those questions and choose not to speak out. And I know each person that's watching this right now or will watch this later has faced a moment in time in your lifetime where you had hoped and wished somebody was there when you needed them to speak out and speak up, and silence took over the
Mhm.
room. And I need everybody to think about, how did that feel?
Mhm.
And it's not just a uncomfortable of, oh, well, that was okay because here's my next day. We are talking about people that may not have a next day. There may truly be no tomorrow. So will you choose to speak out and be a sister, a brother, and a sibling to humanity that needs each of you right now to speak up, regardless of the cost that you think you might lose? Change the mind frame of saying, how much more is there to gain
Mm.
from me speaking up?
We titled this with a quote from Audre Lorde. My silence would not protect me. Your silence will not protect you. So it's better to speak even when you are afraid, even when your voice is trembling, even when you think you will be questioned. Just speak from your own experience. Speak your own truth. Speak what you see, what you feel. You don't have to have a PhD. You don't have to have every fact at the tip of your fingers. Just speak what you feel. Speak for peace. Speak for humanity. Speak for liberation.
Speak for freedom.
Yes.
Speak for equity. Speak for wellness.
For safety.
What I need people to, understand and sit with is the uncomfortable truth of, here's where my mind goes, Karen. We want to sit here in our comfort of our homes on virtual world,
Yes.
or even being able to gather in a space that's free of rubble,
Mhm. No
has,
bombs are falling.
right?
Drinking clean water.
Okay. And yet we will say, but I don't want to speak out.
Mm.
I sit in too much uncomfortableness. Can you please turn that light on? I sit in too much thank you so much. I sit in too much uncomfortableness to say something.
Mm.
Then I will ask people to truly, let's get to the definition of that. How you define uncomfortable is probably very different than the uncomfortability some people are living through right now in humanity
Mm.
and being forced to move through. I also think of the trauma that people are continuously experiencing right now in some places, of the continuous safety that they don't have on a nightly, daily basis, and the imprints of trauma that will be vibrating through them as a being and passed down through generations.
Mm.
Uh, are we watching? Is everybody watching what is happening? You literally have people who are carrying loved ones that are no longer here to places, or rushing them in
Mm.
because there's not enough areas to actually drive a car into there. To know you're taking them to a place that might not be able to provide for them.
That might itself be bombed.
if we want to look at the totality of the actual trauma that is being inflicted right now on humanity, that in itself is enough to make anyone sit in uncomfortableness and also an awareness of, oh my gosh, this is going to leave ripples of imprints on numerous generations. And if we're being trauma informed to care for the people that are in your workspaces, that are in your educational institutions, how are we being proactive then to check in with people?
Mm.
Not knowing the traumas and triggers that they all come with. That if you are a refugee and you came here, there is an impact even seeing that that's going on right now. If you're a family member who's here and you have family member in either of these areas or any of the areas that are literally safety is in harm's way at any given time, the sleepless nights that you're going to have.
Mm.
There's a rippling impact on humanity with trauma. And to sit here and glaze over it is not something I'm going to sign up or subscribe to.
No.
I will hit the unsubscribe button of that real quick. Unsubscribe, ding,
Delete.
delete. I'm not doing it. And I'm also not going to sit here in silence and just be like, yeah, I know they said that. And just don't even raise it.
Not
Because
a well,
what? What'd you say?
I said not a care in the world. So where do we want to go from here, future? Do you feel you've gotten what you wanted to say said?
I just want people to do a couple of things. I need you to sit in your own self-awareness, truly,
Mm.
which might be really painful for some people to do, and ask yourself a few questions. What are your values? What are your beliefs? What are your thoughts? And do those values, those beliefs, and those thoughts match up with your actions and your words? Because some people will sit here and put on their website, put on their LinkedIn profile, I stand for diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. Okay. You stand for that. And in moments of time, you sit in silence. So do you stand for it when it's comfortable, when it's convenient, when it makes you look good or feel good
Mm.
only? Or do you actually truly value and believe that?
Mm.
Because to post about it is one thing. To actually take consistent action, not on the days that I just feel up to it today. Not on the days where it's not going to be that uncomfortable, so I'm just going to speak up right now.
Mm.
All the time.
Dr. King said, the measure of a man is not when he stands where he stands in times of comfort. The measure of a man is where he stands in times of conflict and controversy.
So we're asking you, in a time of conflict and controversy, do you stand in your comfort? And if you stand in your comfort, but speak about that you care about equity for all of humanity and that you value all people, are your actions and words saying that you truly embody that? I also ask people to come join us at the Interracial Sisterhood. because these conversations that Karen and I are having, these uncomfortable truths, not comforting lies, are what we're going to get into. This is, as this person said that chimed in, that was a darker shade than I was. This is complicated. It is complicated. And humanity and emotions and feelings is complicated. And here's what I will double down on. It's not as complicated as we make it seem.
Mm.
If in the middle of 2020, pretty much every system was able to switch and pivot real quick, you tell me how complicated it actually is. Is it complicated, or people don't want to stand in their uncomfortableness? Is it complicated, or people don't care to change? Is it complicated, or people are conflicting at what to do? Is it complicated? Or is it you have better things to talk about over there, so you don't want to be here in the complication of changing?
So you change the channel.
So you change the chat and channel. The channel chat here is equity. The channel chat here is swaddily people in love. The channel chat here is building bridges. We can't do that if we don't dialogue. If we choose to never have conversations, how do we expect to understand, learn, grow?
And this includes conversations with people with whom we disagree. It's not just preaching to the choir here.
Right. We've had those conversations before. I'm all for educate me. That's fine. Thank you. I'll say thank you and give you a hug. There's so many things I don't know on this earth, but guess what? If you're not courageous enough to say something and get out of your silence, I'll never know sometimes. Say something. What other things do you have?
Just tremendous gratitude to you, Future, for how you choose to use your anger, for how you stand up for what's right, for how you speak up to me and hold me to account, and hold the mirror up to me sometimes, that I can't get all self-righteous about, oh, but I'm Karen Fleshman. What could I possibly, how could I possibly cause harm? Thank you, Future.
I'm the
Thank you.
owner of Racy Conversations. How dare you tell me that with you being a racy lady? Right? Like, seriously. We don't
Yes.
take ourselves too serious. We really don't, because sometimes you just don't know. I truly believe, right? Like, here's what I believe about humanity. And people will say, you're insane, Future. Go ahead and call me insane. And I know I'm not. You're laughing because
I call you militant. However.
you do call me militant. I am militant. Okay. So here's the reality. I truly want to believe in my heart and my soul and my bones that nobody is waking up on an everyday basis being like, you know what? Woo, I'm blessed to be up again today so I could go hurt and harm people. I don't think anybody literally is saying that.
Some people are. I mean, I would say there are some very, very, very few, but very evil men in this world who literally, that is what they get up every day in their heart. And they have somehow convinced the rest of us to fall in line with it.
Do you think it is genderized?
Well, I'm not saying that women aren't capable of tremendous evil as well, but I would say the majority of the people who want to divide and conquer and accumulate wealth and power are men, and then women are their handmaidens, their assistants in doing it.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna live in my matrix bubble. I'm gonna believe nobody's waking up though. Hey, stop bursting my my bubble over here. Okay.
Okay, and I am gonna have to land the plane pretty soon because it's time for soccer practice, and you
Right.
know what that means.
Because we're moms, okay, over here. So we're landing the plane, right? And the reality is I want to believe the majority of us are not waking up to say, I'm going to harm people. I'm going to hurt people. I'm going to cause pain and suffering. And I
Mhm,
also, at the same time, will hold harmony to say some people are out here unconsciously harming and causing pain and suffering because you just don't know.
mhm,
And that is exactly why Karen and I are coming on and saying, please speak up,
mhm.
because your silence may cause them to continue to say harmful things or do harmful things that they just don't know is harmful for humanity. What's your final words?
My final words are join us for the Interracial Sisterhood Retreat. Join us in uniting people across difference. Join us in stopping describing the problem and starting to work on the solution.
Right? Change makers, cycle breakers. That's what we are. You want to come join us? Come join us. If you want to sit there and be in your silence, maybe on another iteration of interracial sisterhood, you will be at the point where you could join us, but not yet. Not yet is the path. That's it. I appreciate everybody just coming and swaddling us in love and understanding.
Thank you, Future. Thank you to everyone who joined.
Thanks for listening to me.
Goodbye.